What's going on, guys? This is Will with FatMat Northwest. It is about 6:52 in the morning in Utah. It is cold. I don't know what temperature it is, but it's cold. There's ice and frost on the ground. We're gonna go out and do some trails in the northern mountains today, hopefully, if it's not snow covered. Gonna hit up a place called Skyline Drive, and if that is snow covered, then we've got some other backup plans, but we're gonna do Skyline Drive, and then we're gonna head down over the Wasatch Mountains into the San Rafael Swell. So the next couple days should be fun. Stay tuned. Run the logo.
Oh yeah!
There is already snow in the mountains up here. We've gotten a few feet that came through in October, and I don't think it's going to be too bad, just because we've had a couple of snowstorms, but they were in mid-October and at the beginning of November, and we've had some warmer days since. And looking up in the mountains, it doesn't look like it's terrible. So I don't think there's going to be a ton of snow, but it is likely that there is going to be snow up there. I don't think it'll be enough to close the trail, but you know, if it is, we'll have to deal with that at that time. I'll flip you around here so you can see where we're driving. But you know, we'll kind of find out and see what it looks like and what it is that we're going to be able to do with it. So if we can't get up to Skyline Drive, then what I'm going to do is we're going to go down to the San Rafael Swell. What the hell were those dudes doing? I just had that on camera. I don't know if they're road raging or what. Sorry, guys. So I wanted to capture this sunrise for you guys. As far as those dudes that were speeding back there, I have no idea what the hell they were doing, but Tuella County at its finest, the wonderful Tuella County Sheriff's Department had two trucks sitting there when they passed me that were sitting at the bank by the Maverick in Stansbury Park. And one of them had the truck running with his headlights on, and they still didn't even pull those dudes over. The police officers were sitting at a bank right off camera to the left. They were not close enough to be in the camera shot, but they were close enough to be able to do something about it. But I wanted to capture the beautiful sunrise for you guys as I'm heading over to the Wasatch Mountains. You know, it just, timing was perfect. We got a little bit of cloud cover, so it actually is perfect in the shot there. It's not too bright, and it just looks absolutely gorgeous. So, like I said, we're going to be going up into the Wasatch Mountains today. Actually, the trail that we're going to be on is directly on top of the mountains that you're looking at right now. Hopefully, if it's not closed, then we will be doing that. And it's about a 70-mile trail. It goes from north to south along the Wasatch Front, and it ends up in the San Rafael Swell. So the plan is that we're going to get over there and do the northern part of, the northern part of Skyline Drive. There's a section with a road that's paved on the top of Skyline for like a half mile. I don't even know what that road goes to, but there's a split between the northern section and the southern section. We're gonna hop on that road for like a half mile, ditch off to the southern section of the trail, and then we're going to head back down into San Rafael Swell. And then the plan is to camp hopefully in San Rafael Swell tonight, and then in the morning we're going to get up and do some off-road trails down in the Swell in the southern desert. So that's kind of the plan. Hopefully it all works out. If we don't have the ability to do that, then we're probably just going to go straight to the Swell and do some trails that way. And we may venture down to Moab too. So hadn't quite figured that out. I've got some backup trails in mind if we can't end up doing the Skyline Drive this morning. So stay tuned and we'll figure it out. Hey guys, just wanted to give you all an update. We are into Skyline Drive. We're already hitting some snow. I'm not even a few miles in yet, and we're already into snow and frost and whatnot. It's not bad or anything, but definitely going to be the last time this year that anybody will be able to get up this trail. The next snow wiped us out. So, but we're starting to get up to the higher elevations, and we'll see how it goes. This is a good example of how this trail can change. You know, normally this trail can generally be done in two-wheel drive, and you really don't need four-wheel drive for the whole trail, provided the conditions are good. Right now, though, four-wheel drive's a must. I've already slipped and slid a little bit in the snow, and you definitely need four-wheel drive right now. The other thing is, one thing, every time I've been up here, I've been on this trail 3 different times. This is going to be my first time to hopefully be able to go through the entire trail in one shot, from north to south. But every time I've been up on this trail, there's always been a crossover SUV with like all-wheel drive or Subaru or Mazda CUV or whatever, and I've always seen them stuck up here. Generally, they don't have the right tires on that type of car, and you know, being that it's all-wheel drive and not four-wheel drive, the systems work differently, so it's not as efficient for off-roading as a four-wheel drive would be. And I've always found them stuck up here. One time we came up here when it was snowy, and I was in my 95 F250 back when I had that, and the guy was so stuck I couldn't even get him out with my F250. He was pretty bad off, so you know, it's just something to keep in mind, guys. I mean, you don't want to get yourself in a situation where you're up here and get stuck and can't get out and don't have a way to get yourself out. He was up here with nothing but camera gear and no recovery equipment. Didn't even have a shovel. I had to lend him mine, and we ended up driving him to the nearest gas station because we couldn't get to his truck. And the other thing is, or not his truck, his crossover. The other thing about this is that the conditions can change. I mean, right now everything's hard. You know, we're at 36 degrees, so you know, it's not frozen solid or anything, but it is, you know, it's still hard. It's not slushy or anything like that. If we got to 40 degrees, this would all be mud, and everything would be melting, and it would be hard to get through all this. You know, and in that guy's situation, the guy that came up here in that crossover, he came up when the conditions were hard like this that day, and about mid-morning everything started melting, and it got so sloppy he couldn't get out. And so, you know, that's one of the things about this road, is that, you know, conditions can change. Even though it doesn't look bad, it looks like you could drive a Honda Civic down it. You can't, for one, and two, you know, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble up here. So, you know, those are things to keep in mind. Here at the top, I'm going to stop for a little bit. We'll get the drone out. Yes, I said drone. We're going to get the drone out, and we'll take a shot and show you guys some views. So somehow I forgot to charge the drone batteries, so we're not going to have drone footage just yet. But it looks completely different up here this time of year. I've always been in the spring or the summer, and totally different look to it right now. Here's the tundra. So guys, I wanted to talk about this thing right here. That little orange pole. I want to talk about that for a second. So if you guys have never been up in the high mountains, you know, the high elevations in the mountains, these things are really important in the wintertime or in the fall. If you don't know what they are, basically that's so when the snow gets covered up, you still know where the trail is. In the wintertime, this trail actually becomes a snowmobile trail, And that's the only way that the snowmobilers can tell where the trail is those orange poles. So that's how much snow will get up here, is that, you know, there will be 2 or 3 feet of snow at any given time in the winter. And the only way that they can tell they're on the trail still is those orange poles. Just something to keep in mind, or just kind of a fun fact, I guess, not really to keep in mind, because when you're up here driving in a vehicle, you're never going to need those for the most part. If you do, you've made some really poor choices. But yeah, so just thought I'd give you all that little tidbit about them. Wanted to show you all the view as I'm coming over this part of the trail here. We're about to get a really great view of, I think, the tip of Mongoose Mountains, but could be wrong. This trail is more about than anything, it's more about the views that you get with it. The views are spectacular, and now you can kind of see them coming into view there. It's not even something you can put into words or even capture on a video. It's just breathtaking, really. I mean, it's the only way to put it. So one thing about the Skyline Drive Trail that's unique is that it actually has pit toilets up here. Now, pit toilets are not the greatest. They're usually fairly nasty, but you don't have to bring a bucket of your own, so that's kind of cool. This is also kind of cool. This is what I was talking about for the snowmobilers. This is the Fish Creek Trailhead, but this is kind of what the snowmobilers use as warming huts in the winter. So when they come up here and do the trails and whatnot, this is something that the Forest Service puts up that there we go, that allows them to stay warm. So you know, they have all this wood up here for them, a bunch of chairs, they've got a stove. So, you know, it's one of those things that it's kind of provided, and, you know, you can warm up here if you need to. So, kind of neat. Kind of unique to the trail since it's also a snowmobile trail. But just thought I'd show that to you guys. You can see these lines here on the hillsides. This is actually all part of the New Deal back in the Great Depression during the projects that they gave through the New Deal. What these lines are is basically they used to have people do a conservation project and dig these trenches as part of one of the government jobs, and it was to help with erosion and the way that the water would wash down. And they're still visible all these years later all throughout these mountains. And here we've reached the paved section of the trail here. So basically this is the end of North Skyline Drive, and we're going to take a pavement section for maybe a quarter of a mile, and then it's going to go on to the south section of Skyline Drive, which is what we're about to get onto. So I was wrong, guys. I thought it was a quarter of a mile down to South Skyline. It actually is about 10 miles according to the sign, so we're going to be on pavement for just a little bit to get down to Skyline South. So while we're getting there, though, I did want to talk a little bit about the GPS that I'm using. So last time, if you remember on the Rimrocker video, I actually was using Backcountry Explorer, Backcountry Navigator XE with Gaia GPS as my backup. I've actually switched over to Gaia GPS as the entire, all of what I use. Backcountry Navigator XE, it worked great when it worked, but they did some updates, or maybe they stopped updating it, and it stopped working for me almost altogether. And so because of that, I went ahead and stopped using it and started using Gaia GPS pretty much exclusively now. So Gaia GPS is super easy to use. It costs the same per year. So I've had really good luck with it so far, and I think it's a little bit better of a program anyway. So I got out here to the South Skyline Drive trailhead, and there is too much snow up here. We're up here at about 9,700 feet elevation, and they got a lot of snow up here, and we're just not going to be able to make it work. So a matter of fact, when I pulled up to the trailhead, there was a Jeep that was stuck in a snowdrift, and a big old diesel was pulling them out. So I asked the guys and went up and talked to them and said, hey, do you think it's possible to get past down to the South Skyline Drive? Because they were elk hunting and looking for elk and whatnot. And they said, no, I don't think you can get through down there. So we're going to head further down on this paved road. I think there's an area where we can get a little bit lower in elevation and see if we can hook back up on the trail there. And if not, we're going to make it work and try to figure out a new way down to the swell. So we may just be driving pavement from here on out, but I will update you once we figure it out. Nice little mountain lake here on our detour. So actually wasn't all that bad. It was still worth it because this is absolutely gorgeous. Never really seen this lake up here before, so kind of cool that we got to see it up in the mountains. And I'm hoping that I can get down around this lake. There's a trail where I can hook back up with Skyline Drive that's a little lower in elevation, and already I can tell that the snow is thinner down here. So hopefully we'll be able to connect with that and be able to get back into the trail without missing too much of it. So stay tuned. All right, guys, so we're back on the dirt, and I think we're going to be able to take this. This is called Miller Flat Road, and we didn't really have to detour a whole lot. And this should actually meet up with Skyline Drive on the southern portion of it, just a little, maybe a mile further down where we would have been. So, hopefully we'll be able to get connected back up with it, but it wasn't too bad of a detour, and we got to see a cool mountain lake. So we'll see what happens. This is the coolest detour ever. I don't know what lake this is, but it's an awesome little mountain lake. I'm actually kind of glad that we got blocked like we did on Skyline, because I never would have come across this lake otherwise. It's pretty freaking cool. It's just a natural lake in the middle of the mountains. I'm really glad that we ended up having this detour, because this particular lake is just gorgeous. And I'm gonna stop for a second and take it down and let you guys see this. It's just amazing right here. So I'm gonna pin this as a spot for a potential campsite or kayaking site in the summer. Okay guys, we are still on the detour. Now we're making our way back west, trying to reconnect with South Skyline Drive, and I'm hoping this trail will allow me to do that. It doesn't look like anybody's been on it in a while. So while I hope this is gonna make it, I don't know that it's going to, and looks like we've got a gate up here of some sort. But it's open. And this is a side-by-side trail, so we are going to have to turn around. So guys, today is just not my day on detours and drones. Obviously we're having to head further south than I wanted to, but at least we're still on the trail to try to hook back up with Skyline Drive South. But also I can't get the drone to connect, so I can't get any drone footage. And I don't have cell service to reach out to my tech support to figure out what the problem is. So We will go with it for now, but you know, it is what it is. We're still having fun, and the trail is still beautiful. So even though it's not the trail that we intended, it is still gorgeous, and hopefully we will get back on track up here in a little bit. All right, guys, we have made it through the detour. Skyline Drive, 3.6 miles, so we're almost back on track. So I think this is Potter's Pond. A little on the way up to Skyline, just kind of coming across this little pond. It's all frozen. Don't know how thick yet, but all frozen so far. Another pit toilet here. This is about the 7th one I've seen so far. So the good news is if you're doing this route with kids or something, you do not have to carry a poop bucket. There's plenty of these places. No tracks out here other than me and the animals. As you can see, I'm the only one making tracks on this road. One thing to keep in mind, guys, is when I come out here, I actually carry my Glock. And if you notice, I'm not keeping my eye on the phone too much or the camera too much. Reason being is because about a mile back, I saw a mountain lion. And those things will sneak up on you. You always have to have your eyes on them. So, yeah, something to think about if you do come out to a place like this. I have 0 cell service right now, and you got to be able to fend for yourself. So I carry my handgun. Handguns, contrary to popular belief, will also take down black bears. You don't have to have a huge gun for that. I just carry a 9mm, and there's plenty of examples of that working out. So, but mountain lions, not something you want to mess with. To clarify this clip, this was not a close encounter with a mountain lion. The mountain lion was in the area, more than likely because of the deer that I had seen in the area, and that's their main source of prey. But it doesn't hurt to be aware of your surroundings and screening, especially since I knew they were in the area. Most times, they're not going to have anything to do with humans unless you come around their babies. So, let's go on down the trail. Alright guys, so as frustrating as this is, I can't go any further. The snow drifts are too deep and we're not going to be able to make it. I know the trail is directly in front of me and I know it turns to the left and we don't have that much further to get to Skyline Drive, but it's just not going to happen. Those are my attempts and my truck just came to a halt. It goes down about 1.5 feet on that right side and about 1 foot down on the left side, so we're gonna have to turn around and figure out a different way out. Doesn't look like Skyline's gonna happen. We just came too late this year. So, it is what it is. We'll turn around, we'll find us a different route. So remember what I said about snow drifts and you never know what's underneath them? Well, this looked like a real good place to turn around. Except it's not. So, luckily we aren't stuck. We got good traction on the front. But all of a sudden I just sunk when I was trying to turn around. And that's why. It's a nice little snow drift that we're in. No big deal. We'll get it turned around, get out of here. Good news, guys, this is pretty much running me parallel to where I was trying to be on Skyline Drive, so we can follow this for a ways, and we actually have another opportunity to meet back up on Skyline right around the Emerald Lake part of the trail. So We might try that. I think it just depends on how much time we make and how that's looking once we get to that point. But it looks like this part of the trail is actually pretty smooth. I can make pretty good time on it. And once we get to that point where I could break back over and try Skyline again, it's ultimately just going to be a matter of, do I want to attempt detouring again, or do I just want to go ahead and get to the campsite at this point? So, you know, we'll have to make that decision when we get there and see what kind of time we're making when we get there. So this trail is kind of dropping us down into a canyon, and it's absolutely gorgeous to see the canyon walls this close. But, you know, we're coming down this new trail. And it looks like it's dropping us into kind of some desert brush, you know, southern desert brush, and we'll see if that's what stands or if it comes back up. But the snow's kind of disappeared, so we're making better time. This is Joe's Valley Reservoir. I saw a sign said no anglers, no trailers. It's just a tent camp only apparently. But man, it's gorgeous. I can't believe the amount of mountain lakes we've been able to find today just on this detour. It's kind of made this detour worth it, and the fact that the trail didn't work out like we'd planned, okay for today. So lots of these treats along the way. They're amazing, and I'm really, you know, I'm lucky that I live where I do to get to be able to see this kind of stuff on a daily basis. Just an awesome view of the lake, or reservoir rather. We are losing daylight a lot faster than I anticipated, and it has to do with the mountains. The plan right now, we're actually still trying to make it over to Skyline Drive on the Emerald Lake portion, because the trail actually kicked me back that way, that the one that we were taking to the south, it actually put me back over here. So I figured, why not? We'll go ahead and try it. If it doesn't work out, then we'll do one of two things. We'll either find a place to camp, if I can, depending on how far I can get to Skyline Drive. Then there's a place called Emerald Lake. I know there's a good camp spot there. We'll be camping on the trail, or I may backtrack to the Josh Valley Reservoir and camp there, because it is a little bit lower elevation, so it should be a little bit warmer. But that's kind of the plan right now. It does not look like I'm going to be able to get down into San Rafael Swell, so it is what it is. I came prepared. I've got my buddy heater, and as long as we don't go too high of an elevation, then that thing should work fine to keep me warm. And plus, I've got my cold weather sleeping bag and all that. So. You know, we should be good. You know, today's been a little bit of a crazy day with detours. But, you know, that's kind of what it throws at you sometimes. So, you know, the good thing is I'm not in a rush. I'm prepared for all the options. If I have to, you know, camp on the trail up in the snow, then we're going to do that. And, you know, it is what it is. So, you know, we will I'm probably about 99% sure at this point that we will be camping on this trail tonight, whether it be the detour trail or somewhere on Skyline Drive, but we are going to be staying the night up in the mountains, it looks like, as opposed down in the desert. So I just found a camp spot off to the side. I'm gonna back up here and probably throw a pin in it, because at this point I'd rather have to double back just to this spot, because we're not very far from Skyline and where it hooks up, as opposed to going all the way back down to Josh Valley Reservoir. So, oh, there's deer. Nice. So this little spot right here is what I was talking about. That would work as a camp spot if I need to come back to this. So I'm gonna drop a pin in it and we will come back if we need to. All right, guys, so we have broken back out of the trees and we are about to actually meet back up with Skyline Drive. I can't believe we were actually able to make it. Snow is pretty deep over here. I mean, relatively speaking, it's 8 or 9 inches deep. Where the trail is not, and it's where it's not packed down. I rethought the campsite I found back there that I thought I was going to use. I rethought that option because one of the guys, when I ran into the guys that were with the Jeep and the 3/4 ton, they were saying that they camped up in Ephraim last night, which I'm not very far from, and they got 4 inches of snow last night. And so with that in mind, I rethought that particular place because that was in dense tree cover with lots of snow in the shade. And if a snowstorm was to come through here tonight, I very well may not be able to get out of there. So I rethought it, and we're gonna, camp somewhere probably facing the sun, hopefully. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Is somewhere near facing the sun would be best, just so that we're exposed. But yeah, we made it. So hopefully we'll still make it through. The drifts are kind of getting deep right here, so hopefully we can still get through here. But yeah, that drift is huge. And there's somebody that dropped down in it. Oof. Yeah, these drifts are big. So that's my thinking, is that wherever I go, I'm going to want to stay somewhere that's, exposed to sunlight, in case there is snow overnight. It just makes more sense to be where there's not very much snow currently up here, because you don't want to get stuck in a situation like that. So it is 4:30 and you see how dark it's getting. So those mountains block the sun quite a bit. So we're gonna take a look at the GPS, see where we need to go from here. This is insane. There's a lot of snow up here, guys. Lots of snow. This is crazy. I mean, we're getting through it. It's deep though. It is deep. It is deep. I went for it, and I know this part of the trail, and that's the only reason I felt comfortable going ahead. Is I know this part of the trail, I know generally where it should be, and I know where I'm going to be able to go without getting stuck. So that's the reason that we're taking this trail, is because I'm comfortable where I'm at. Guys, I don't think I'd recommend what I just did. We're on the absolute top of Skyline Drive, but I'm going back because we're going to look and see what I just came up. I don't know that I would recommend it. And looking back, it probably wasn't very bright. That's part of the fun of this, is having an adventure, right? Wait for it, guys. Wait for it. There's a road in there somewhere. This is halfway up my calf. I was the only one to come up this way. Came all the way along there, over to here, and up this. Yeah. This is deep. Oh, well, guys, the mountain has claimed victory, I think. I tried going back here. Not happening. I got out of my truck and sunk to my knees in snow. Pretty confident that we did as good as we could today. We got a gorgeous view. We are on literally the tops of the mountains. I'm breathing heavy because it is, because it's way up here. So, whew, the air's thinner up here for sure. I don't want to fall to my knees again, but drove through that snowdrift right there. I'll back up and show it to you better. So this is the snowdrift I just drove through. You can't really tell, but it's about 3 feet deep. That told me that once I got past that, started sinking further up here, right there, it wasn't gonna happen. So, back where we came, I'm gonna find a place that I can get into. Probably gonna try to make it back to Josh Valley. I think we got time. Now that I'm on top of the mountain, I can kind of tell how much sunlight we have. So, we did as good as we could. Truck did great. You know, it is what it is. Sometimes this happens. So, I'm gonna go back and try to find a camp. Sometimes nature wins. You know, I really did not want to push it any further, and hell, even trying to go back, my backtracking on my own tracks is a little sketchy with some of the snow, because some of the snow is breaking through further as I come down it. So it's not even though I came through here already, it's still not entirely packed all the way down. And you know, so it is what it is. You know, it's better to turn around and let Mother Nature win, because, you know, at this point it could become dangerous at this point if I tried to continue. So, you know, we definitely don't want that. And you know, it's we don't want to do anything stupid and not be able to do this again. You know, one, we don't want to hurt our truck, and two, you know, I don't want to hurt myself. So I don't want to put myself in a position that's going to be dangerous for me. And I feel like continuing at this point would be, because, you know, the possibility of a snowstorm up here, the weather can change in an instant. I didn't want to end up camping up here for the most part, specifically because of that. And so it's in my best interest not to push it. So this is what we're doing, is we're heading back, and we'll see what we do from there. But I'm going to try to make it back to Josh Valley. Probably set up camp for the night there, because I do think I'm going to have enough daylight to get there, and I already know where I'm going, so that helps. It's a little bit dark in the trees right now, but we will see you in the morning. right, guys, I went ahead and I was able to actually make it back to Josh Valley Reservoir. Sun is just coming down. I really needed my lights to get back, but I was able to do so. I think I'm a lot safer down here. You know, it would have been nice to be able to do what I wanted and get through Skyline, but it just wasn't worth the risk. You know, I probably should have stopped about 2 drifts before the last one. So, you know, I got 3 opportunities to make the decision. And when I finally started coming back down, I realized, you know, I should have just called it quits on the first big drift, and not pushed any further. But, you know, it's something I'll learn from and make sure not to make that mistake again. It all worked out. Everybody's safe, or I'm safe and the dog's safe. So I guess that's everybody. But I'm going to go ahead and set up here in Josh Valley, and we will make it down to San Rafael Swell in the morning. So guys, I know I am supposed to be camping right now. That did not actually happen. So as soon as I got off the video with you guys, I actually had a flat tire right as I was pulling up to, you know, pulling in to shut it down for the night. Got a puncture, got it changed, and there's some pointers and advice that, you know, I want to kind of go over in a different video, and it'll be like a little short video, but, you know, something that I'll do separate from this. But you know, I had to go ahead and change the tire. Since I'm on my spare, I won't be able to really go off-roading tomorrow anyway. So given that fact and the fact that I'm just done with the day because I've run into so many problems, I just decided to call it and go ahead and head home. You know, that's one of the things in my experience when you are pushing to do something and you continue to experience problems or, you know, obstacles and things of that nature. Sometimes it's just better to call it a day and start fresh some other time. So that's what I decided is best. There's been too many things go wrong today, and like I said, I won't be able to actually, you know, go off-roading on a spare tire tomorrow anyway. So I just did not feel that there was any need to continue it tonight. So I'm headed back to Salt Lake. You know, this has been a rough first installment for FatMat Northwest. You know, we had to overcome a lot of challenges today. You know, we had difficulty with the drone. It wouldn't connect to my phone for some reason, so I couldn't get any drone shots. Obviously, we had 3 detours with the trail, and then to top it off, you know, the flat tire. So it just wasn't my day. Kind of comes with the territory sometimes, doing off-roading and that kind of stuff. Things go wrong, but doesn't make it any less fun. I just feel like, you know, for just to prevent anything else from going wrong, the best call is just to go home. So there will be more videos from FatMat Northwest with me, Will. Like and subscribe. Matt is going to do a great job in editing this video. He hasn't actually seen any of the content yet. The first time he'll see it is when he's editing it. So, you know, I hope to be able to add some views to his channel. So we will talk to you later, guys. Until the next time, I will see you later.